Kendrick Lamar did his thing. And there's controversy over whether or not this Super Bowl halftime performance was lackluster. Was it boring? Are people comparing it to other rap artists, comparing it to other halftime show artists who have dazzled the crowds with their brilliant performances and stagecraft and all these other, wonderful things, and singing all their hit records? How did Kendrick stack up to all of that? Was he trying to stack up to all that? And of course, did he do the Not Like Us song? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And we're going to break it down. I want to go through just a little bit of it, a little bit of the performance, and I want to talk about some interesting take and some analysis of the actual performance by someone on Facebook named Derek A. Harper Sr., who, a couple people have been posting and reposting his take and some of his analysis of Kendrick's performance and how it relates to hip hop and to America and to culture and such, and goes beyond just a Drake diss and saying Drake is not like us and a cultural thing. Anyway, so I want to get into that. I want to show you a little bit of that, and that's what we're going to do. Welcome to the Time to Talk podcast. I'm glad to have you here. What did you think of the Super Bowl? Let's just talk game-wise. I thought this was the most... I couldn't believe it. I'm not a huge football fan. I don't watch every single football game and all the playoffs and run up to the play. I'm not that dude. But I will tell you, as far as the games I've seen in the history of my life, like, I've never seen anything this bad for Kansas City. And I was rooting for Kansas City. I like to see dominance in sports. I wanted to see Kansas City, and I wanted to see Mahomes and them have a three-peat, first time in history. I wanted to see that dominance. I wanted to see that historical moment. Didn't happen. It seemed from the moment that game started, Kansas City didn't have a single opportunity, a single chance, and everything went there totally against them. Everything, every call went against them, every single flag, it was, 6 sacks that Mahomes had, 6, 7 sacks maybe? Interception after interception, a sack, an interception followed by a Philadelphia touchdown. It was just so bad. Anyway, couldn't wait for the halftime show. And whether or not, as I discussed on this channel previously, before the Super Bowl, I guess that's Saturday before, whether or not Kendrick would actually perform Not Like Us, considering the pending defamation lawsuit and what's going on with that and Drake's crybaby self when it comes to feeling, defamed. So let's look at a little bit of it. The Serena coming out and doing that was a moment too. I think she should have had more spotlight though. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't even recognize her. I'm sure most people did. Our people did, but a lot of people probably didn't recognize her. I figured she would have had a spotlight on her and been maybe next to Kendrick. That probably would have been something. But anyway, wow. And he pulled the word pedophile out, which was a smart thing to do, which is what I thought he would change the lyrics to a certain degree, but he just pulled the word pedophile out, but still spoke right to the camera, right to Drake. That moment prior to him launching into that song with him doing the whole, how they like to sue. Ladies, I want to do this, but you know how they like to sue. That was, again, just shutting Drake down. Is Drake going to be all right? Drake will be fine. Drake's got money. Drake's got a legacy. Drake's got a career. Eventually he'll get over it. Just a really bad year for Drake. I spoke about this. I think he's going to have to do some things to earn some respect, but he's Drake and he's going to have his followers, going to have his fans, and it is what it is. But this was a serious, like one of those long, like a 9-inch nail, all right, going into a bunch of 9-inch nails, going into the coffin of Drake as far as this whole rap battle goes, and the way the Super Bowl ended with that whole game over. I'm sure y'all saw that. Turn the TV off, and then you see the game over with the lights in the crowd, the drones, whatever that was. And it's game over on this chapter. It's done. Now let's get into so I'll first give my personal take on it. I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was probably too hip hop, too rap oriented for the Super Bowl audience, for the people watching there in the stadium and the people watching at home, which is why you saw a lot of the initial reviews coming through on social media. I noticed people saying it was boring, blah, 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 whatever. And we're going to address that in a second with Derek Harper's take on this. And that's going to explain some of it. Now, I thought it was fine. I will slightly agree that for a Super Bowl audience and for the amount of people watching, the Super Bowl, typically you're going to get like these hits. You're going to get things that are much more, I guess, crowd friendly. But the purpose here with Kendrick's performance was that, no, he was making a statement, and it was much more about hip hop, much more about culture. And I'm all for that. So I'm all for that. I personally thought it was fine. I like the music and I like Kendrick. If you're asking me outside of that, outside of the messaging, outside of the profound statements that he made in terms of just a performance of entertainment wise, does it rank as one of the greatest? Probably not. You look at the Dr. Dre Snoop Dogg performance where Kendrick joined them as a guest, along with Mary J. Blige and a host of others. That was far more entertaining. Why though? Why? Because that music is way more, those songs have been around for much longer. They're much more, those songs everyone knows. Little white boys know that, little black boys know that. That music was much more iconic than Kendrick Lamar. But at the same point, and what we're going to get into with Derek Harper here, that music represents a certain particular narrative in hip hop that's been pushed through the powers that be. Let's get into it right now. And let me look at this analysis from Derek Harper. Let's talk about this. So, a bunch of people have been posting this on Facebook. You may have seen it yourself. And of course, now everyone's going to be a Monday morning quarterback. And, I think even the people who are claiming that it was boring, who posted their initial reactions, their genuine reactions, I think they're going to be, once they read this, they're going to feel like, oh, well, I don't want to look like one of those people. I better take down that. I better admit that it was good, right? So let's take a look at this. All right. So then again, the message is blacks have always been here to entertain who are not like us. So they aren't bored. They rather have Wayne up there high, who has backed Drake, the system, to push the agenda. Very true. I'm going to agree with that. I think that there's been a consistent agenda in the hip hop game, in the music industry, to push black culture from a certain perspective, from a limited angle, right? To show violence, drug dealing, this lavish lifestyle, all about money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes. What? That whole thing. It's been for a while now. We have not been pushing, Talib Kweli was never pushed to the mainstream, to the forefront. Black Thought, right? As successful as Black Thought and the Roots are with their gig, and Jimmy Fallon and Black Thought being Black Thought and having that respect, it's never been pushed to the forefront. We lost a lot of cultural, when it comes to hip hop and music. You got to remember, I come from the era of the 90s where you had Public Enemy and you had different groups speaking out, X-Clan, and music was way more about telling stories about black culture and about revolution, about certain things. And stories were told. It wasn't just, look how much money I have and look at how many hoes it wasn't just that. And at some point it became that. And that late 90s, I guess mid 90s, late 90s, that's when it started to become that, the Bad Boy era and all this stuff, and Jay-Z and Nas. Nas, not so much. I mean, he was caught up in it, but still tried to remain true to his roots and to the culture of hip hop. But I digress. My point is, I understand the take on this and the idea that America and the powers that be would much rather push the agenda of, hey, look at the little black boy with the teeth and the gold chains and diamonds and stuff, talking about, irrelevant stuff to the culture. Anyway, the message Kendrick just sent to America could not use Wayne. That is true. It even started with the American flag being built out of black people, as America being built on the backs of black people. This is factual. America was built on the back of slaves, African slaves. And I don't mean in a small way. And I also don't want to have that history conflated with the history post-slavery, or not even post-slavery, the time, like if people watch, let's say, Gangs of New York, and you think, or you listen to people talk about the history of New York and the building of America and the building and the 13 colonies, and you hear people say, well, the Irish came over and they were responsible for this, and the Italians did this, and we built the country. My grandfather, great-great-grandfather came over on the boat, and the Irish settled here, and the Italian immigrants did this, and these people did that. That is true. But prior to that, the very wealth of the world was built on the backs and the death and destruction of black people from Africa, period. The entire West Indies, Spain, France, London, all England. This was basically how America was built. You could go through the history. You can see the amount of wealth that was built, generational wealth that is still here today. It was built on black people, no one else. Black people, period. The United States would not exist. Spain, France, plenty of places they would not have the money or the wealth to sustain themselves and to continue to build the empires that they built had it not been for the trade of black people, African slaves from Africa. So period. So that gets often overlooked because people like to confuse it by saying, well, yeah, it was a period of time in our history and we did this, but America has built itself and you wouldn't have built yourself. You would not have done it without black people, period. So totally respect that point. Before I mention how being cool in our culture has always been stolen, no matter how many people try to steal it, they not like us. True. Talking about cultural assimilation and people using, I remember there was a point in time in hip hop where most of the sales were being sold, the records from Snoop and even NWA back in the day, late 80s, these were all being purchased by white America, by suburban white kids. In capital letters, all caps, was not about white people. It was about the people who control the media and labels who create divide. Okay, here goes. And I agree with that. It started with Dead Prez, intro, beat, and flow bigger than hip hop. I'll put the video in the comments. Anyway, so that's that portion. There's another section here. First song, when I hear music, it makes me dance. Squabble up. New Order. Okay, Uncle Sam L. Jackson started it off with the rules of the game of historical white America, right? Which is pretty much what he came out representing America, saying, okay, like he's a black man representing America, but he's also kind of playing a little bit of Steven in Django, right? He's kind of like being the house Negro saying, okay, well, you can do this, but keep it tame, keep it safe. Then said when a bunch of blacks hanging out on the corner is too deep for the culture, somebody got to die. Deduct the life and create an environment to cancel each other out. Exactly. The Squid Game start, which symbolizes the rich killing the poor for entertainment. Imagine rappers beefing and killing and the media benefiting from their deaths. Very true, very true. And I haven't even seen Squid Games. I understand what it's about to a certain degree, but I've never really got into it. I'm probably going to watch it, but haven't got into it, but I do understand what he's saying there. The system allows Drake to push the sexy red to taint the culture and empowers him. Absolutely. And I've been saying this for a while now when it comes to hip hop, especially when it comes to females in hip hop and the amount of sex and degradation of females and what's going on. Like it's gone way beyond having one female who's kind of freaky, a la Little Kim back in the day, and having one girl talk about sex openly, going back to Salt and Pepper, having, conversations that women can have about sexuality and not being ashamed about it. It's gotten beyond that. And it's gotten beyond, the culture has become, I can talk about being a hoe and being this and doing all sorts of stuff and being naked, half naked, naked, almost naked, gyrating, twerking every 2 seconds. Like that's what we push. And I'm like, shouldn't there be a balance? I've been saying this for a while. Where is the balance? Where is the Lauryn Hill? Like what happened to that? What happened to this balance where we've got some positive sisters who are doing spitting some serious music and putting out really good hits, but it's not just about being naked and bending your ass over, a la Megan Thee Stallion, this one and that one. Like take your pick, the fake booties, the fake breasts, the half, showing the poo-poom, showing the areolas, showing, it's just become disgusting. And, that essentially is what he's talking about when it comes to, Drake would push that. These different artists, Drake represents a manufactured, commercialized version of something. The dancers in red and white and blue, representing the American flag, been dancing to the drums of the system. And we want entertainment and to be able to dance, then be educated. Absolutely true. It's like distract people with entertainment, distract people with girls half naked. Like I'm saying half naked. That's an expression, right? Dance girls 3/4 naked to fully naked, right? Like that's the thing, and people are more entertained with that and more interested in that, and they stay distracted. The main stage was a PlayStation. I didn't peep that. I mean, I peeped it for a second, but Squid Game card, and the system is a game designed to keep us dancing and in prison, which is why it was in a prison yard. Absolutely, absolutely. Protecting black women like Serena Williams after the disrespect from Drake. Another part of this. Yes, absolutely. And once again, reminding the system, and not to mention, Serena Williams represents black woman, black people, women, femininity at its ultimate, at its highest peak. You're talking about a well-accomplished black woman who came from nothing, who went on to dominate a sport to such a degree that she is considered in most circles, and especially with me, the greatest tennis player. I don't even say greatest female tennis player. I say greatest tennis player of all time. And that's something to celebrate. That's something to look at. That's something to show little black girls to, and little white girls to look at, as opposed to, again, a sexy red or somebody bending over and talking about their vajayjay. And once again, reminding the system of Drake and America. Their plants are not like us and can't infiltrate the culture. Exactly. You know, there's plenty of talk about the amount of industry plants in the game. I think most of the women that are in the game, in the hip hop game right now, are all plants. That's my personal opinion. I think they're just there to sell sex and to push the disgustingness to our young black women so we can keep them distracted and actually not provide education and provide sense of self-worth. And it's much better to do this and to distract. Game over. TV off. Been under their control. Revolution. Exactly. Drake been used to further sour the system and be a plant for the same system Malcolm X warned about from the music execs who own media and use it to divide us. Exactly. And plenty of people have warned against this. This is bigger than rap. And women who feel disrespected should see it. People who are tired of being divided should see it. Notice the American flag divided? Exactly. But most of all, those who didn't have a lens to see it just shows the system has worked and you're the type it's been working on. So basically, he's pointing out that everybody who said it was boring and the show lacked anything entertaining, they were looking for twerking, stage dancers. They were looking for booty and breasts, and they were looking for foul lines about sex and about, all these different innuendo regarding sexuality and sex. That's what they were looking for. Or looking for something about money, cash, hoes. Again, I'm using that particular line just to reference the general concept of materialism, wealth, and sexuality in women. Dude is the most creative genius in hip hop history. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there's no question. I mean, to pull this off and to do what he did and to make such profound statements, he's obviously one of them, 100%. I don't know if he's the most. I'll put Kanye. I don't want to talk Kanye because Kanye is off my list right now. He's just so far gone. But anyway, go off. Maybe we can see more well-respected entrepreneurs and family men leading for once. Yes, that would be a wonderful change. Here's the kicker. Look at your Facebook friends who say they wish it was more entertaining. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, they were who it's been working on. Exactly. The system rather keep you choosing entertainment over being educated. And it's true. Watch the first 10 seconds of his rap. Dead Prez reference bigger than hip hop. True art. Rappers sent as plants to hurt us will no longer be tolerated. We are woke. If you're mad at it, please don't complain about being looked at in a certain way. Because you want to bounce to entertainers to promote killing each other and degrading our women. I guess America thinks it's okay too. Watch the comments fill up with nothing will change from people who are okay waiting for it to change versus doing their part. The point what he was making was come to this post in 24 hours and watch how many of us are fighting the message and messenger versus thinking of positive growth to move forward. 100%. So, yeah, there is the amount of people who are going to say, where is the flash? Where is the booty? Where's the talk about guns? Where's the talk about money? Where's all the stuff? Where's all the flashiness? Why didn't you bring Wayne on the stage? We need to see that. And that's what he's talking about. The distraction, the industry pushing that on our using black culture and pushing this narrative to black people. Nothing but sex, violence, this, that, and the other. Now, I'm not going to sit here and play holier than thou and claim that I don't listen to. I haven't listened to Jay-Z and a ton of music that's been pushing a lot of this stuff. Of course I have. And anyone who tries to play the role like I don't listen to any of that stuff, all I listen to is Talib Kweli and positive rap music, you're full of shit. Okay, but I can separate, and I do understand what's going on out there, and I have made mention of it, and I have spoken about it to brothers and sisters before, younger brothers, and people had these conversations about what is going on in music and why is there such this push for nastiness and disgustingness, and why is there no balance when it comes to music and education and revolution and all the things we could be talking about black on black crime and violence and economic inequality and all the things that are taking place and this very degradation of women and culture. Where are the rappers talking about all that? So the people who are looking for a show that was loaded with all the very things that are trying to keep us down, hey, you might have to question yourself and go, did I really want to see that? Wasn't this far better? Maybe I could have sung along. It'd be much better to sing along with some rap lyrics, like, again, Dre, Snoop, Eminem, when they did their thing. Maybe I want to sing along those lyrics. It's much more entertaining for people. I get it. But this was a necessary, profound, and I'm glad he took the chance and he actually had the balls to do this, because he basically took a chance. He took a risk because he called out America. He called out the music industry. He called out people besides Drake. It went beyond Drake. He called out the culture. He called out black people for wanting to see something else and making you question yourself. He called out all the media companies and everybody by doing this. And the consequences of that are going to be what? Is there going to be any... Does he care? He's got 5 Grammys. Oh, he's got 24 Grammys, I believe. 22, 24 Grammys. I think it's 22. 22 Grammys with this latest win to 5. All right? He's got enough money. He's already cemented his legacy in his particular position, so I don't think he's worried about it. The statement that he made was the statement that he made, and I'm glad he made it. There's one more thing I want to look at that Derek Harper talked about, the gentleman who did this take on the Super Bowl performance. We want to talk about GNX. So here's an interesting fact. Did you know the last black GNX was built in 1987? It has a V6, but was more powerful than every other streetcar. And if overlooked, it would embarrass more popular cars in battle, kind of like my Tesla Model Y Performance. That's another story. Kendrick Lamar at 5'5" was considered smaller and more overlooked than system-promoted rappers. And he was born in 1987. Symbolizing the last of a dying breed. I didn't make that connection. I had no idea about the GNX, but that is very interesting, and I can see where he's going with that. But there are some who still fell in love with hip-hop because of the art and hidden messages through musicianship that helped move the culture. That culture was infiltrated, and plants were placed to shift it, where messaging of growth, overcoming adversity, and being self-sufficient became women abuse, triple X shaking, and praising money. The art left and consumed a dumbed-down message and captured control over people who weren't creative thinkers. The Tupac and LL Cool J and Big started getting replaced with the Kodak, YNW Melly, and NBA Youngboys. Well, to be fair, Big being replaced. Big was part of that 90s kind of whole thing where it came down to money. I mean, he was storytelling, so it's slightly like... I wouldn't say Big was simply glorifying his history. His narrative, his entire, his first album, second album, like that was all him telling his story about his realities in the hood. Did he have that celebratory sort of look at me? I got Mercedes, I got hoes, I got this, I got that. Yes, he did. So he was at probably the beginning of that. And I would probably say that was at the behest of the now notorious PUFFY, the DIDDY. Really pimping him like that. And that's what that was about. But anyway, I digress. And this system was being perpetuated by the idea of Drake's play and disrespect women and keep the culture dying while being rewarded with money for doing it. Exactly. And somebody got to do it. Somebody's got to stop it. But like I said, it's for the people who can understand the message. Think about the people who say nobody puts a Kendrick song in and ride to it. Yeah, because being entertained has worked. But instead of arguing with those who don't get it, let them cook. So he's referencing the fact that if you're listening to, it's the same thing with again, I'm going to keep referencing Talib because he's one of my favorites, Mos Def, another one. Although Mos kind of toes the line because I drive to Mos Def. People don't drive to those songs that are making you think, that are consciously aware, that are talking about the culture. People drive to stuff that's got a beat to it. I can't really fault that. I can't say that's a bad thing. It's possible to make hip-hop bangers that sound good, that are danceable, that are fun to drive to, that might have a message to them, right? So it's not always one or the other, but I do understand his point, and I wanted to highlight it, and I wanted to talk about it here. So that's my take, and Derek Harper's take on the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show. I think overall, and especially post-analyzing it and hearing other people's takes on it, I think it was a brilliant performance on so many levels, and I think it will be studied and talked about for a long time. And again, he did what he had to do. He handled his business. I think it is a wake-up call for people to analyze, and if this starts a discussion and gets people talking on social media, and people are actually learning something from this analysis, and they're sharing ideas, and they're waking up to what's really been going on in music and how industry plants work and how they're keeping and dumbing down the mind of Black America, I'm all for it. I'm here for it. So That's it. I enjoyed the show. I thought the game was hilarious because I could not believe how bad Kansas City came out of that. I just thought it. So congratulations to the Eagles. I was originally telling people that because I'm a New Yorker, the Eagles would be, Philadelphia would be the closest to the team that I would want to see win. But I wanted to see dominance, so I wanted Kansas City to win. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Kendrick Lamar's halftime show. Let me know your thoughts on the analysis. Have you read this analysis? Have you seen it? What is your take on this whole thing when it comes to the culture and it comes to the music? What do you take on Drake? What did you think of the game? Let me know in the comments. If you've not subscribed, subscribe now. I really appreciate that. Hit the notification bell. Do not forget to hit the like button. It takes a couple seconds to hit that. It doesn't even take a couple seconds. Take a split second. Hit the like button on the way out. It helps the algorithm. It helps me grow and get better and better and better at doing this so I can deliver content to you guys. All right? I appreciate it. I will see you on the next Time to Talk podcast. Peace.